Alright, in this video you should already have your scene set up, your main scene and your lizard or player scene here. So let's go ahead and make our lizard move using the arrow keys. Now, placing things into a scene you can do just drag and drop, getting everything set up. But to actually make things do something, to have behaviors, we have to add scripts. So this gets a little bit more complicated, so make sure you follow all these steps very closely. We're going to go back to our lizard scene, and we're going to add a script to our lizard here. I recommend that you add your scripts on the root level, so I'm going to select my lizard, and I'm going to select this little add script button. So notice again, we've got the area 2D up here, the collision shape, and the lizard. And the collision shape and the sprite. So we're going to select this top one, the area 2D, to add our script to. It's going to say a GD script, that's correct. And it's going to be called lizard.gd, that's fine. So we're going to go ahead and hit create, and it's going to open up a little script for us here. There are two functions in here right now. We have the ready function, which is called at the very beginning, and then this process function that is called repeatedly, and this is your game loop. It's called basically over and over and over again while the game's running. For this particular one, we don't need the ready function, so I'm going to go ahead and delete everything up here, but leave the extends area 2D. And I'm going to uncomment this process function. So when you put this little pound sign or hashtag, whatever you want to call it, in front of a line, that makes it a comment. That means it's not going to run that particular line. That's not actual code. And it'll be grayed out like this. So you want to have function, process, delta, and pass here right now. I'm going to go ahead and delete the pass, and we're going to start adding some scripts to make this do something. So what we want to have it do is move with the arrow keys. So the way that you do that is we need an if statement. So we're going to say if. So we're going to do input.is action pressed. And you want this is action pressed, not just press, not just release, not any of the other ones. Is action pressed. And it has to be spelled, capitalized exactly like this here. So I can double click that if I want to. And for left, we're going to use double quotes UI underscore left. I'll show you how to set up more controls later, but for now let's just use the arrow keys. So those will be UI underscore left, UI underscore right, UI underscore up, UI underscore down. Same pattern. And then we end this with a colon. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hit enter. And now what I want to do is have my character move to the left. So when we're looking at our scene here, what you can think of this as, let me get back to the mode, is that this is a big grid. Up here is 0, 0. This is the x-axis, and x gets bigger as we go this way, so it's like your Cartesian coordinate system that I was talking about. This is 0 on the y. Now y gets bigger as it goes down, which is a little bit flipped from what you're probably used to, but that's how it goes in game engines, so you just kind of have to go with it. And every position on here is just like your xy coordinate system. It has a position in space. So for example, you can go out a certain distance, and that's going to give you an x value. Down a certain distance, that's going to give you a y value. You can see what these are kind of over here. So right now our lizard has a certain position. If we want him to move to the left, what we're going to do is change his position every frame. So this script here, this process runs every frame. So if we want to change his position every frame, so if we want him to move to the left, what we're going to do is translate. And then we want to tell it how far we want to translate. So we're going to say vector 2. This is just, we're defining a type here. And we want to go -5 in the x direction and 0 in the y direction. So I'm going to put that in there just like that. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control S to save. And I'm going to go ahead and run again. And so we can look at how what this is doing. So I'm going to hit run. And now I'm going to hit my left arrow key, and we can see he moves to the left. So going to the right is going to be a similar thing. We're going to say UI right. And we're going to translate, but this time, instead of going -5, we'll go +5. Let's go ahead and run that and see what happens. So I'm going to let you do up and down. they're similar, just remember, in the Y direction. And I'm going to move on to this fixing a certain problem we have, which is that right now my little guy can just run right off the screen, and while he will come back, we don't really want that to happen. We want to stop him moving. So again, remember that in our scene here, this is just a grid system. So this here is 0, 0. So if my little character is moving, and he moves this way, make sure I have my lizard selected here, there we go. My lizard moves this way. When he reaches over here, remember his coordinate, his x coordinate is now going to be 0, which is right here, right? This is 0, this is going to go negative in this direction and positive in this direction. So we can test if he's on the screen by seeing if his coordinate is greater than 0, at least for moving left. So let me show you how to write that in code. Now note how I've got this stuff spaced here. This is tabbed in one level inside function, and this is tabbed in one level inside the if. This is called blocking, and so everything needs to be kind of in its place. If you tab something in, that means all of these are inside this function, both these if statements, and this is tabbed in saying it's inside this if statement. So let's go ahead and look at how would we say go left until you hit 0, unless it's 0. So what we're going to say is if the key is pressed, this is basically asking if the arrow key is pressed. Now we're going to say and our position, which is, we can say position.x. Got to spell it right though. Spelling, capitalization, all of that is very, very critically important in code. So position.x is greater than 0. That's the only time we want to move to the left. So let's test that. Again, you'll see that I'm just writing small amounts of code and testing. This is what I recommend. Write small amount of code and test, and then move on to the next thing. So we can see that he stops. I can keep hitting the key, but he's not going to move anymore to the left. So let's do the same thing for the right. So for the right, it's going to be similar, except what's this end of the screen? It's going to be a number, a bigger number, and it's going to be the number of this coordinate at this end of the screen. So let me show you how to get that coordinate. Go back to my script here. So for this one, we can say and position.x. Now remember, in this case, we're looking at smaller than. We want to know if it's less than that position. And we can say get viewport.size.x. Now you can kind of think of this get viewport.size as a magical thing. Get size.x will get you the x size, and get size.y will of course get you the up and down size. So let's test that real quick. Alright, so let's go all the way to the right. That works. All the way to the left. So I'm going to leave it to you to figure out how to do making this guy move up and down based off what you know about moving left and right. And then in the next video, we'll look at making a little collectible object that our character can collect.